Here's a segment from a recent Gun Talk radio episode. You can listen to all the Gun Talk radio podcasts however you tune in, or check out guntalk.com for more. Somebody who can probably address exactly that joins us right now, Illinois State Senator Neil Anderson, and he's got a most interesting bill he has just introduced there. Senator, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Tom. Happy Sunday to everybody.
Well, thank you. Our previous caller, he said, he was in Tennessee, state representative said, hey, I opposed constitutional carry because 84% of the calls I got were against it. And I keep telling people, you got to pick up the phone. You've got to let your elected representatives know what you're thinking. From your standpoint, you're sitting there. You're the person who's getting the calls. Talk about how that does or doesn't make a difference.
It absolutely makes a huge difference, and I come from the aspect of representative government. I mean, that is truly what our founders set up, and we can't represent and do our job. We can't represent our constituents properly if we're not hearing from them. So a lot of officials get elected and they fall back on their own personal beliefs, and that's not why we're there.
Right.
We're there to represent, in my opinion, in my district, 214,000 people. So if we're not hearing from you, it's really hard to do our job. But our job is also to get out in the public and talk to people ourselves, which we do a lot of.
Part and parcel of that responsibility that falls on us as voters is to not only respond and let you know what we're thinking, but the way the system works is we should be out there rallying people around our viewpoints to make sure that you're hearing from all of us. And I'm thinking particularly of gun owners, and there tends to be and this is broad overreach, but I think some people in society really seek validation, and they're very good at putting together groups, and they rally together. And a lot of us who tend to be individuals don't, and we're not looking for validation because we think we're okay anyway. And so we don't form groups, we don't act in concert, and as a result, sometimes we're not representative, and we tend to be ignored, or even, to be fair, elected representatives may not even know we're out there.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And the other side of being an elected official, which is much more important to the issue of guns, I'll use it as an example. I have a lot of people that call my office and are all for more gun control. And it's my job as an elected official to be to explain to them the constitutionality of guns in our lives. So we get a lot of people that focus on the emotional side of things rather than the logical or policy stance and constitutional stance.
Right.
And it's the elected official's job not to focus on the emotional, not the flavor of the month, but what is right to do, because we all took that oath to uphold the Constitution.
Well, along those lines, this bill that you have introduced would do away with Illinois' FOID card, the notorious Firearms Owner Identification Act, FOID, created more than 50 years ago. And it was one of those deals that may have seemed reasonable at the time, but now it's getting to where I think the average time to process a new FOID card application is like 120 days or something.
Yeah, Tom, it's actually longer than that. I get dozens of calls every week with people frustrated because some people have waited over a year, and everybody wants to point the finger. I know concealed carry, I'll use as an example, and FOID for that matter. In the state of Illinois, a lot of concealed carry in other states are done by local sheriffs. Mm-hmm. In Illinois, it's all done by Illinois State Police. So everybody wants to point the finger right now at Illinois State Police when, in fact, it's really not their fault. So each application for FOID costs money, and as well as concealed carry, that money is supposed to go to state police so they can have the manpower to process all of these. Well, our lovely governor in the state of Illinois has swept those funds to use elsewhere from state police. So now state police is bare bones. They don't have enough staff to process the new FOID applications that we've seen over COVID. We've seen, I think, over 300,000 more than average this past year. So they're just they're overworked and they don't have the manpower to process them, which is a big part of the problem.
And for those who don't live in Illinois, you can't buy a gun, you can't even own a gun unless you have the FOID card, right?
That is correct. You can't even buy ammunition.
Wow.
Which is just one part of the reason why I filed legislation to completely repeal the FOID Act. Not only is it unconstitutional on its face, but it's simply outdated and it's a redundancy in what we do in any state. And I'll give you an example. And the hypocrisy is when you file to get a FOID card, they basically do the federal instant background check to give you that FOID card, and you pay a fee for them to send you a card. And then when you go to purchase a gun, you have to show your FOID card, which to get it, you had to go through the federal background check. And then to purchase the gun, you then in turn have to go through the instant federal background check.
And by the way, it takes about 30 seconds to 5 minutes to get the okay back on the federal background check most of the time, and it certainly doesn't take a year. And I mean, 50 years ago when FOID went in, we didn't have this instant background check, but it's really outdated now.
It's completely outdated, and this is, at this point in time, this is nothing more than a cash grab and an infringement on law-abiding citizens to own and carry a weapon.
There's Illinois politics and there's Illinois politics. So what's the likelihood of actually getting a vote that does away with the FOID Act?
Well, to be very honest, it's slim to none. I've been a state senator for 7 years now. This is the third General Assembly I've been in. This is the third time I've introduced this legislation. I've begged. All I'm asking for is just a committee hearing. I want people on the record. I want to be able to debate this on a logical standpoint, and for them to explain to me how this is not a simple redundancy. And to be honest with you, Tom, I think that's why they don't want this in a committee hearing. I don't think they want me to explain it. I don't think they want some of the members on the other side to be caught with their pants down, for lack of a better term, because you can't defend not getting rid of the FOID card on a logical policy basis.
Well, I mean, and the thing is, and you just keep doing it year after year. Keep putting it in there and trying to get more attention and go out and beat the drum. And I would ask all the gun owners in Illinois to get behind you and try to help out. If they called their representatives and said, could you guys get on board here with Senator Anderson's bill? So it's 1754 is the bill. Would that help?
Absolutely, and I've been calling for that, and it does help. It seems to be when we get into the heat of session, especially in Illinois, people get caught up with what they think is more important, and usually those are the emotional driven votes.
Sure.
Whether it's supporting or opposing those, which I completely understand, but I think it's important, and I think people are waking up to the fact that the Second Amendment is the single most important amendment of our Bill of Rights. And people have a misnomer that the Bill of Rights is a list of things that people are allowed to do, when in reality, it's a list of things the government is not able to do.
Thank you. It's a list of prohibitions. That's what it is.
It is. It's a list of prohibitions on government. Government is a necessary evil, and this is the list of things to keep them in check.
Wait a minute. You can't be a politician when you say things like that.
I've been accused of not being a politician, which I take that with a feather in my cap for sure.
Well, Senator Anderson, thank you so much for spending time with us. I would anybody in Illinois, I would ask them to please get behind this. The Senate Bill 1754, get rid of FOID. It's 50 years old. It's way outdated. The instant background check that you do when you go to a store and buy a gun completely replaces it. There's just no need for it other than power and money. Well, it's always power and money. Again, Senator Anderson, thank you so much.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate being on your show.
All right, you take care. 866-TALK-GUN. It's always powered money, isn't it? Which means it's really all about money. Always.